Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Dirt Track State of Mind. Let's talk about it with the Chaz. And the Chaz is here. And it's with a 1-2-1. Illuminati symbolism, forwards and backwards. He's got it covered. And it's Joe VonSchriltz.
Pretty good. Pretty close.
What is it?
VonSchriltz. Let's see you spell it.
VonSchriltz.
See you spell it.
It's hard for me to say it without spitting venom out.
Okay.
VonSchriltz.
That's right.
It doesn't talk how or say how it's spelled. I don't think.
It's spelled exactly.
VonSchrilli.
R-I-L.
Oh,
Riltz.
See, I'm not used to it.
All
Anyways, What are you doing today? You got these racy cars behind you.
I worked all day.
Screen printing or something.
I worked all day. The clock says it's 6:15. I put in about 11-hour day.
And you're young, luckily. You have plenty of years to, you can put in long hours like that all the time.
When the work's here, I do it. Put a long day.
A long day.
This racer talk show guy wanted to be on his show.
Well, and you used to race, and
haven't retired.
You haven't? You
No.
still jump in there every now and then?
Well, I think in the off season I'll take some laps and see where we're at.
Is there going to be like a you versus Sammy race coming up or something, like for old time's sake?
There's no old times.
You versus like Howard Cady?
Howard, maybe. Howard's 88. I think I could take him now.
88's interesting words.
Brent ran third last week.
That is true.
I'm 3 days older than Brent.
Just jumped in it, too.
Yeah. He hadn't slowed down enough where I think I can beat him, so I'm still waiting.
True. This is true. So what's going on? What do you got? You wrote questions down.
I have questions for you.
Oh, no. We're starting off very interesting,
Well,
ladies and
usually
gentlemen.
your shows, you just beat your guests into submission.
Oh, apparently.
So I had friends of mine
Let's hear it.
want questions.
You want me to look away?
Questions. I don't know.
We got questions
I don't know
for
which
me.
one I should start on. I'll start on, what's your educational background?
High school dropout.
High school drop, no GED?
Well, I mean, that don't really count.
Okay, but high school, didn't quite make it through high school.
No. I had issues. My dad died. I was in high school. When my dad died, I kind of didn't give a shit. But GED, yeah. Stuff's easy to get.
Okay.
GED
Do you own any real estate?
Well, I got a car with a license plate. It kind of moving real estate.
Well, here's the racing question. You've been throughout the country.
Okay.
California attendance is bad. Weak. Throughout the country, is it better than out here? I mean, this is weak out here. Johnny Key race, I don't even think they got 1,500 people. Outlaw races don't sell out.
Well, Larson's there. People show up.
Was it a sellout at Stockton?
No, but it was pretty packed.
Placerville? Pretty packed?
Pretty packed.
Okay.
All the 42 shirts and 57 shirts.
But throughout the country, your travels.
I mean, that's the reason PA can pay like they do, is because their fans are there for their guys every single damn week. It used to be like that here, back in the Gap, when it was standing room. It used to be like that across the country, but y'all been living in a stock car driver's shadows for 30 years, so you almost got away from Gordon, but they slid Larson right in there on you, and now you are still in the shadow.
Yeah, you talk about that a lot. The Kyle Larson effect. It's kind of your...
It's the Jeff Gordon effect. Kyle Larson's a casualty of the situation that was created. Without Jeff Gordon, there's no Stuart Kane. The trend
continues.
The trend continues.
Is it unstoppable?
But it doesn't. It doesn't have to continue. It takes talking, deliberation is what changes things.
Will it change? Can it change?
It is changing.
Is it realistic?
That's why grassroots is coming. They want to snob our asses in the ground.
Yeah, you preach that all the time. We'll see if it changes. But don't the powers that be, they don't want it to change.
The powers that be are almost like some of these rich little cliques out there. They want to make it to where only the cliques can afford to be in the race and be the stars and be the famous ones.
But they're controlling it. How do we stop that? How does the guy from the bottom stop that? How do the fans stop that?
Well, we got to stop it in sprint car racing before they outprice the sport to where a guy doing screen printing can't be out there. Because once they do that, like NASCAR did, then they can control who's famous and who's not by the price to play on the field. And the only way to stop that is to talk about it. Educate regular people, raise some hell. Kick some teeth in.
That's what we're doing here today.
Not yet.
Are we trying to...
I've been doing it for 2.5 years. Hey, I'll tell you what. I was doing it really well and not talking about Kyle Larson until Kyle Larson came on my page talking shit to me. So, he drew in a esque way, you know, quoting Sylvester Stallone, he drew first blood, not me. You know, he drew first blood.
But you're on this crusade.
Hey, we're selling.
We're selling. We're making progress.
Yeah, the ship sails are not made of hemp, but, you know.
All right. Well, you got any questions for me? Let's start with that.
No. Let's run down the questions. I'm interested.
Some of these will fit later in the show.
We were going to talk about backgrounds. What the hell have you done? I saw some video earlier. We'll throw some clips up of it here. You know, what is this? Quarter midgets that kill people? I mean, there's no damn seat belts.
I started in quarter midgets at 6.
6.
I raced till I was 11. I got tired of it and played football and baseball into college. Baseball into college. Got back into racing a little bit with my father in 1920. He wanted to buy a super modified, which is pretty much a sprint car.
Right, 100 inch.
Out at San Jose. I was at a point in my life where I was finishing college, starting a business, and moving out on my own. And I didn't feel right driving for my dad. I thought that was something that I wasn't looking forward to doing. So I started a business, moved out on my own, worked for...
So wait. You turned down the ride drive for Dad?
Yeah. My dad...
That people don't do that. What are you talking about? What's wrong with you?
My dad had...
Did somebody slap you or something?
He ran a super modified.
Did you get kicked in the head by a horse as a youngin? Or did you sling out one of those quarter midgets?
No. I think I didn't get kicked in the head.
Oh, okay.
But
You tried to live outside the nest.
I'm a pretty independent person. I have trouble with people telling me what to do with authority. Therefore, I had to start my own business. And I had to start my own race team. And I saved money for 6 years and bought a super modified at 28 years old and started my dirt career.
And see, that happens a lot nowadays. You just don't hear about those people.
And my father owned a super modified and then he owned a sprint car, and I was asked many times, why aren't you driving your dad's car? And I said, it's just not for me. I just can't. It's not how my life's going to be. I don't drive for Dad. It's not who I am.
That is just insane when you look at the situation. So when you see...
Well, I had the feeling that it was an accomplishment for my dad that he could raise a son that didn't have to depend on him. That's the way I looked at it.
That nobody looks at it that way.
Well,
they look at it like Dad's supposed to take care of the baby boy and give him the best opportunities that...
My father didn't understand it. I think it was hard for him to understand.
So you kind of made this decision in your own mind to say no.
Yeah. Well, there was other factors. Like I said, I was starting my business. I had moved out. I bought a mobile home. I was just finishing up college. It didn't seem... I felt my life should get started and be an independent person and be successful on my own. Maybe the timing wasn't quite right. I thought eventually we would team up later on down the line. That's what I mentioned to him, but it didn't happen.
Did you? And so what ended up going down? You started racing. What happened?
Well, it gets pretty complicated. When I started racing, my mom had cancer, and she passed away a month into my rookie season. So people who knew my father and my family felt I should move back in with my dad for support, which I did. And then he committed suicide a year and a half later. So it was a pretty rough go. I never felt my racing got a chance.
So after that, what did you do?
I kept racing. I raced super modifieds for 2.5 years, and I got into sprint cars in '89. And then
was racing kind of the one thing that was there that kind of didn't have something go wrong with that was just kind of emotionally that had to be insane. So I mean, I've said it before. Like my dad died when I was 17. You know, my mom died when I was 26. I mean, I try to forget. You know, you almost want to just like move on with your life. I was already out of the nest at that point. You know.
Yeah.
But you know, my dad dying kind of fucked my life up. That's why my teeth are bad. You know. I kind of say that. It's not why my teeth are bad, but it's kind of like my reaction to it was like, fuck school, started smoking cigarettes, drinking Coca-Cola, not brushing my teeth. Like, I've always said that racing was something there that was always there for me no matter what. It was like, if you're there for it, it's there for you. I think that's why people get not necessarily addicted, but like racing or football or basketball, it's something that's always there no matter what. If you're there for it, that's hard to find. Can't find that in a woman most of the time.
What's your question?
Well, I'm saying
at that point,
was like racing like the thing that was still there that gave you some type of enjoyment through all these things that were going on. Because that's a hell of a hey, I just said that's a hell of a slammer to have your mom get cancer and then the dad killed it. That's like movie-esque
my
or
dad
something.
never recovered from losing my mom. It was for someone like me in my 20s to be there,
experiencing
it, living through it.
It grows you up real quick. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, you have to go through those things. For me to explain it, really doesn't do it justice. You have to kind of live it. But I don't know how it affected my ambition to race. I always kind of got in over my head, spent money that I didn't have.
That happens a lot in the sport.
Took on the world and pretty much failed, really. I felt I didn't do what I should have done as a driver.
So what do you mean as far as...
Well, I didn't win.
Did you think it was equipment? It was,
when I was in the middle of it, it was hard to figure out exactly what it was. Looking back, I think I was just up against
everything.
More than, I don't know. I still almost can't figure out why I didn't do what I should have been doing.
No,
kind of tearing up.
Well, I know. Hey, I
didn't know it turned to this.
Hey! Surprises are always coming. I know you probably got some slick ones for me. You and your him and his Shane Golovic T-shirt. They're winning this battle so far. But anyway,
he's a former driver of mine.
Hey, that's a throwback, bro. I got a throwback Ryan Bernal, like Al
I didn't
Bundy.
know it was going to get this serious right off the bat.
No. This is good stuff. This is you.
But
this is you. What I'm saying though is,
my driver
to go through all that shit. How could you even get in the fucking... What I'm saying, was that the one thing that was left to kind of... Was it an escape at that point? Was it to get away from all of it? Or was it just something... Was it emotion? Was it just...
It was something I was going to do. And the obstacles were just obstacles. It was what I was going to do. I knew I could succeed at it.
And you were already trying to be independent and grow up and do it on your own, and then all that shit happened.
Yeah.
So it's like grow up twice as fast now. So random.
Well, looking back on it, now with the finances, having worked 40 years, and the ability to put together cars that win races now, which is something 30 years ago when I was driving I couldn't do, I just think I was naive in getting into a sport where money and information and setups and coaching, I thought I could overcome it all, but the mountain was too steep. So I'd show little flashes,
right,
that would kind of keep me going, but I couldn't sustain. I ran super modifieds about 35 times, or 40 times in 2.5 years. When I got into sprint cars in '89, I only ran about 30 races in about 6 or 7 years. So when you only go out 4 or 5 times a year, because I was running a business, and it cost a lot of money, and I just couldn't.
You weren't being stupid. You weren't just running as much as you could.
No,
going broke.
No, I kept the finances under control, but it was just like fate. It wasn't going to work out. I really have an explanation.
So what ended the whole run there as you driving and working and all that?
Well, I had an opportunity to buy a house when I was 34. So I sat a whole year and saved 40 grand to buy the house. But then that started a whole, I got behind on taxes. I had to borrow money. All of a sudden I had house payments.
Taxes, man.
I had house payments.
Now, California taxes weren't that bad back then, though. The state taxes weren't as bad as they are now.
So I sat out
luckily
93 and 94, regrouping from buying the house. And then in 95, I got back into racing. And the second race, I had a car destroyed, a wreck that wasn't my fault. A car in front of me had a steering wheel come off. He kind of was parked high in the turn. I slid into him, stopped. The guy come from behind, hit me, destroyed the car, brand new car. So sat for another 4 months, put another car together, used car, and ran, I believe, 3 races. The last one was at Hanford, 95. And in 1990, I went to Hanford. I liked Hanford, my favorite track.
I think it's one of the best in Northern California.
It was 55 cars at a King of the West show. It was called Gold State then, and I set fast time.
And there was some pretty heavy hitters.
Well, everybody was there. 55 cars, so everybody was there.
All the West Coast people.
Yeah. And J.W. Hunt gave me $100. The only money I ever got for anybody. So to go back 5 years later, after sitting out, and I remember I qualified early, and I ran it hard up on the cushion. I remember I turned to 14.215. I remember the number. There were 23 cars, and I wound up. Then I went out early, and I went to the pit stands, and I watched the other cars go out, and I saw Chuck Miller go out with his Kenco 24 KT car for the California fans, a new J&J with a shaver motor, and I saw him go under the cushion, and he wasn't on the ragged edge like me, and he turned to 13.5, and I said, it's over. It's over. My car can't do it. The engine don't have it. My truck and trailer are now worn out that I bought in 89. I said, I have to stop, sort this out. I got to sort this out. Sit for a couple years, sort it out.
Basically, you had saw where no matter what you do, this stuff behind you at the time wasn't gonna
do it. What I had wasn't gonna do it. I bought a motor that wasn't what it was promised. The car I bought used wasn't up to snuff. I ran it hard. I did a good lap, and I think I was about 20th quick out of 23. And I go, man, this is a loser.
So
I'm a loser.
How old are you? Don't say it like that.
At that point, I was 37, maybe. 37.
So 37, and you started trying to do this at what age?
28.
28.
It was about a 9-year.
From all the shit and the 28 and all that, never having the cars up that you wanted or equipment.
Well, when I started off at San Jose Super Modifieds, I had a Rookie of the Year. I ran 16 races, had a couple top fives. It looked promising.
But it took you to that point to say, I just don't have the equipment? You were fighting for 8 years to say I can do it?
Well, I sat though in there. In 1990, I got out of debt. I bought the aluminum motor in the trailer at the end of 88. I spent 40 grand. It took 2 years to get out of that debt. That's when I put Lasowski in the car to try to make money, and Hodenshield in the car, and something broke on the front end. Jack destroyed the car.
Now, what do you mean to try to make money? Is this the days where you could make money racing?
Well, there was only about 6 or 7 outlaws traveling that swing, and these guys could knock out a win. So heck,
and 10 or whatever,
8, 10 grand,
especially in those days.
Yeah, it was realistic. It was realistic. But when something broke on the front end at Manzanita and the car got destroyed.
It's a big track to break a front end on.
Well, this is a couple years before I bought the house. So when he did that, it bent valve. He hit the wall so hard it bent valves in the motor. So I had to sit a year and a half then.
Trying.
I raced early 91 with Hod in Lasowski. The car got destroyed. Everything was a mess. I sat for a year and a half. I regrouped. I came back into 92. I looked pretty good. I went into 93, ran 2 races. The fella said he's selling his house. Then I had to sit. So right when I kind of was looking like I might get somewhere, I had to sit. And that was 2 years. And I came back. And that's, I didn't do the chronological order correctly. But it was a mess. I never produced.
As a driver. And even the car owner back then, I guess it had some issues. Every time he tried it, something went wrong. With the
but looking back,
child.
I can't explain why it went wrong. I don't know if it was set up to lose. I don't know if it was fate. I don't know if I wasn't smart enough. I don't know if I was reaching beyond what was realistic. But it's the life I lived. See, I gave it my best.
Well, you're not over. I mean,
I gave it my best.
And then what happened?
Well, I bought the house.
Okay, and this is 90.
Chuck Miller qualified me by 7/10, and I thought I was driving as hard as him. Well,
You said you were driving harder.
Oh, I drove hard. I was on the ragged edge.
And he didn't even get close and just babied it around.
Well, he didn't. Chuck doesn't baby the car.
I'm just saying, he busted your lap by almost a second.
7/10.
Almost a second.
It was embarrassing.
And you said...
I looked at it from a realistic point of view, and I said, I don't have what they have. There's no point. I'm not out here to go around. It's embarrassing. Got to shut it down. Got to regroup.
So what'd you do? Just sell everything out? Or
Sold everything out. Sat for 12 years.
From what year to when?
95 to 07.
What the hell were you doing for 12 years?
I had to work.
Bohemian Grove or something?
Well, I bought a house. I was paying the house down. I underestimated the financial problems I was in. I had to pay people debts and...
No mafia or anything, right?
No. It's a guy pulling a squeegee.
Oh, it's the guy pulling
a squeegee.
Perfect
man.
cover, guy. Perfect cover.
I lived in my house for that
Are you
time.
CIA? No, I'm just playing.
Why would they be involved in what I'm doing?
I'm just saying.
I have job security.
I'm just saying.
No one's doing this. So I come back in 2000.
Were you 121 when you were racing?
At San Jose, it was a NASCAR track. They assigned you a number.
Oh, wow. How about communism?
So I was 21.
They stamped you.
21.
And when did you go 121?
When I went into sprint cars, and there was already like 5 121s around the area. Beitler, Jason.
Regular
McMillan.
21s, you mean?
Well, they were, with numbers and letters after them.
Right, so you just did the 121.
Well, that came after Hodenschild drove a Darrell Saucher car in '85, and it was 1ST, the 1ST car.
Yeah.
And I saw the big one, a little ST, so it gave me the idea to make the 21 smaller.
Okay. So it was like number 1, but it was at 121.
I like the 21. It was my football number in high school. I have 21 letters in my name. I think it's just a nice number cosmetically with one number with the curves and one number with the straight. I like 21. I didn't want to put a letter after it. I didn't want it.
So, you're selling everything out. You're paying off the mafia debts. I'm just kidding.
I'm in the real world. I got bills. I got debts. I got a mortgage. I got a mortgage.
It's over.
And I think at that time, my family thought, well, he bought a house. He'll get married. He'll settle down. And like most guys, they give racing a shot. Almost everyone from my era, they race in that 20, early 30s, and then they move on. But I was
in the back of your mind, there was something else cooking.
Well, I failed. Had to go back. Had to straighten it out.
But you knew where you think things were going wrong was equipment.
I think it was everything. It was my state of mind. It was the crew help.
It wasn't dirt track state of mind, was it?
Never heard that phrase before.
Okay. I'm just protecting my asset here.
Well, it was a failure. I couldn't leave on a failing note. It didn't sit well. I never failed at anything. This was a failure. This is a public failure. There's people in the stands paying
to watch your failure.
They're announcing my name
as a loser. Is what you?
That's right.
I guess what you're saying.
I'm 19th quick out of 23 cars, and they're saying my name on the loudspeaker. How do you think I took it?
Hey, I bet a lot of people take that very oddly.
When I was sitting out, people would. I'd go to the races. People would say, "Do you miss it?" Do I miss what? Losing? Think I'm out here for this?
Right.
Don't miss that. I'll be back. I didn't realize it'd be 12 years.
You thought it would be...
2 or 3. 2 or 3, I'll straighten this all out.
You're saying you uncovered some crazy debts or something?
No,
or?
well, it's the real world. People have, when you have mortgages, I don't know why it took so long.
But you
I mean,
basically
you not only-
had it in your mind you were going to come back right if you were coming back after that.
Oh, yeah.
There was going to be no spare of anything.
No. I learned my lesson. I went in, I was a loser. Didn't sit well. First I had to pay off the debts, and then I had to buy the stuff. So, I mean, stuff ain't cheap.
Right.
I mean, like the Ryder motor I bought when I ran the winter heat with Hodnett, that was a whole year's wages. A whole year.
And you just...
I said, okay, this year I'm going to work all year and buy a 410. It's a year. Buy a motor, it's a year for me.
Right.
But I'm here to buy the best. What's the best I can get? I'm not here to tell you I can't win because somebody has more money than me. You don't have to play the game.
Right.
I mean, I'm electing to go into this game. You could say it's a rich man's game or it's rigged towards the rich people, but they're not asking you to play. You can sit in the stands, talk about it.
Hey.
If you want to play the game,
Got to be in the game.
you gotta work. But I went back in 2007. I was driving. I was ready to go.
So well, hold on. What did you get? Did you make sure you were going to put together the best of the best for you got back out?
I hired a crew guy. I had, Maxim chassis. I bought a toter home. I had a big trailer. I bought a nice 360 Shark engine. I was ready to go. I still had a little debt there, not much. And I said I'll go out and run a race just to see. I hadn't sat in a car in 12 years. I'm now 49. Now 49. Maybe it's not realistic. I don't know what I was going to feel like getting in a car. So I went out and practiced a few times. Then I went out and ran a race. I didn't do very good, but I go, it's riding a bike. I can do it. I can do it. So then I said, okay, I ran one in 2007. I said, okay, I'm going to race 2008.
Did it go good first or what?
Well, there was 20 cars. I qualified 13th. I was running around 12th in the main. I got lapped, 4 laps to go, so I just pulled off. I didn't want to be in the leaders, but it didn't seem overwhelming. It didn't seem like...
You were just trying to knock some rust off.
Yeah. I was just being realistic, and I cruised around, and I go, even when they lapped me, Brent lapped me and Stidham. I was following him into the turn. I don't think my car was set up quite right. But it didn't seem overwhelming. It didn't seem like something that with a little practice, I couldn't get in there and mix it up with them. I felt I can mix it up with these guys. So that was 2007.
Right, so you went to 08.
So I was ready to run 08, and the fellow that was working with me, Brian Sperry at the time, he had a 410. I don't know how we came up with the idea to put Shane Golovic in the car. I've been friends with the Golovics. Their shop is close to mine. Their house is close to mine. We've been friends, and we kind of said, Sperry has a 410. Let's put Shane in it. He was 16, and he went out at Watsonville, Golden State race. He ran 6th. I know he finished in between the Kadings. Jason Myers was there. The Rudine cars were there. It was a pretty good field of guys. He ran 6th. I go, wow, he ran 6th. Pretty good. Let's try it again. Next race, he wins. 16-year-old winning King of the West race. Wow, this is...
The next Jeff Gordon.
Well...
At least that's the trend.
Well, I didn't know what to think. I go, wow, this is something. This is something. And then we had a good year. Then we had some bad years. Then we had some good years. And I'd every so often hot lapped a car.
So hold on. You went from 07 to driving.
That's right.
To you getting whittled and talked into.
No. I didn't get talked into it.
Or putting in a driver in the next year and not even racing anymore.
Yeah, I don't know why that. I think because I'd still owed money on my house. I'd still owed money on the mortgage. Let's say maybe, I don't remember. Probably owed a couple $100,000 on my house.
Which is easy to do here in California for everyone
else.
I
own it, and I run a one-man business. And I was knocking out, $7-10 a month. And I was concerned if I got hurt. I go, if I go out there and break my wrist or hurt my back,
And you can't do the work.
And I got a mortgage. We'll let Shane go out and race, and then when I pay the house off, see how things go.
Well, was there any kind of financial support for with Gullibic, or was it just the motor getting helped in? Or?
Well, early on it was the motor helped in. Then we kind of consolidated teams. I sold my truck and trailer. I bought a second 360. They ran the car basically out of their shop, which is only a couple hundred yards from mine. They did their part. It was a good teaming. It was a good relationship.
So Gulbic's in the car, just wins King of the West in your car.
But he had his own car.
Oh yeah,
they had their own car. They had
Okay.
my car. He ran midgets. We traded off. I was a fill-in. We probably ran 10, 15 races a year over 7 years. But it started off good, and then it, I guess like a marriage,
Well, you got the Outlaw win.
Yeah, we got the outlaw. That was the high point, obviously, winning an outlaw race.
Now you would think 16-year-old, all this crap.
Well, he was 21 when he won the outlaw race.
Well, I know, but still, 16-year-old winning locally, 21 outlaw win, doing successfully. Did any y'all got Bill McAnally right down the road? They're throwing, Haley Deegan.
Well, we had a guy.
Rent a ride.
We had a guy.
What happened with where's this dream? Did it not come? Did anybody come? I'm sure somebody wanted to rent y'all some rides. It happened, didn't it?
No, I don't think the rent-a-ride thing was big back then. I think
lease a ride?
What happened was, I can't speak for them. I only kind of know my view of things, and it's hard to remember, and I'll probably say things here, and then tomorrow I'll say, I didn't remember it quite right. But they were good friends with the Clausens, Tim and Bryan. And Bryan was a couple years older than Shane, and they were kind of like brothers, and the fathers were good friends. And the kind of sense was Bryan was going to get to NASCAR, and he was going to kind of pull Shane along with him. Bryan, I think at 16 signed, was it Ganassi signed him? Well, when he was 18...
So. Usually you sign with a manufacturer.
No, I think it was Ganassi. But Bryan signed, and when he was 16, I think they signed him. But he couldn't run nationwide till he was 18, so maybe 2008 or so. Bryan.
Yeah, you have to run.
But Bryan got a bad deal. I don't know the details.
Talking about Clausen.
Clausen and NASCAR. I think
it's easy for them to sabotage you.
I didn't think the crew chief knew what he. This is just me, a silk screener, watching it on TV and hearing the little things. But Bryan was a major talent. It didn't fall right for him. He didn't get the brakes. They kind of ran him out of. I remember watching the car and it was bottoming out in the turns.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not
a stock car. You can't drive those cars. You're riding in them. Whatever the crew gives you that car, whatever that car is capable of doing, you can't do more than that car.
And he was there, and Ganassi had.
Look at Larson. He's in a horrible ride. Larson would dominate NASCAR if he was in a decent Cup ride. But anyway.
But Bryan got kind of run out of NASCAR. I don't know the details. I don't know why it happened. And I think that had a lot to do with what the Golubics thought about the NASCAR dream.
Well, and a lot of people were caught up in the fame, too.
Yeah, but they saw it close up, the reality of what happened to Bryan. In 2013, we had someone come forward and put money into Shane, enough for him to run some K&N races.
That's the baby step.
Yeah, I kind of was helping broker the deal.
Now, was Shane eager to go meet up with all the owners and the people helping?
No,
or?
I think he...
Because that's a part of it, too.
I think he was too close to the Clausen. I think their view was that it's a dead end and it wasn't going to go anywhere because what happened to Bryan. And maybe they were right. Maybe they were wrong. I think they had that mindset that it wasn't going to work. It obviously didn't work. He ran 3 K&N races. And that kind of ended. And then I ran one more year for him in sprint
Wasn't
cars.
he teamed with that at Phoenix? They had the other guy on the team, the announcer dudes.
Mick Reynolds.
Yeah.
We're going to get into that?
Hey, let's talk about it. This ain't all about just, watching you cry on camera, bud. Let's talk about...
I teared up.
I
didn't have you stop the camera.
I'm zooming in when we go. when we play this, it's
Wait, you can
in.
redo it? You gonna play music, violin?
Maybe.
No, but
I'm just saying they can fix you up if they want you in or out.
Well,
Your car is how good you're going to do.
listen,
I remember seeing the Golobic deal, and damn it, I think they set him up at Phoenix because he qualified real well, and then all of a sudden, they want that other guy to look better. It's a click. Okay, it's a click. You got your little clicks on here with your Golobics and your Banals.
You brought this thing here for the volume, and you're yelling. Okay, here's my saying.
You know how this show goes. Don't complain.
That's how I saw it. Shane ran Roseville and Kern County. He qualified somewhere in the 14th to 16th range, and he ran the car up to 8th. He's smart. Shane's a smart driver. Ran it up to 8th. He went to Phoenix, big track.
Should be easier.
We qualified 4th. He was in a different car, too. They moved him up to a better car. He qualified 4th. I go, wow, he could win this. He moved up in every race. Now he's qualifying 4th. He could win. Brandon McReynolds was one of his teammates. He qualified somewhere in the back. I don't remember.
I don't pay attention to this stuff.
I don't know where Brandon
about it.
I don't know where Brandon McReynolds qualified. I'd guess somewhere in the high teens. And I had a friend of mine listen to the radio transmission between Golobic and the crew chief during the race.
Like one of those little scanner deals?
Yeah, I guess you can listen to the drivers.
Yeah.
I'm not a NASCAR
spotter
fan.
and all that, yeah.
Can you do that with anybody?
Yeah. Tune into the radio
someone
transmission.
tuned in the radio. And the crew chief was not helping. Car wasn't handling too well. Crew chief wasn't helping him. Brandon McReynolds was moving up. And Golobic fell from 4th to 8th. I think he spun coming out of turn 2 somewhere in the middle of the race. By the time he got it turned around and going, they said he was a lap down. While he was a lap down, the crew guy told him to change the brake bias. He went to the back. He passed, it seemed like 10 cars or so, but it didn't count because he was a lap down to these guys.
You're screwed. It's over.
He was screwed. I don't know. I don't. Was the brake bias wrong to begin with? Did they not want Golobic to beat McReynolds because Larry McReynolds is connected to NASCAR?
All you gotta do is go under there and just swoop, and you can destroy a 4th place car.
But I'm not a full-time car owner. I'm kind of a fill-in guy. I felt that I was trying to help Shane move up the racing ladder, and when that didn't pan out, we worked together, and then he'd done good enough where people with more money than me hired him. So,
is that what you think ended it?
Ended what?
Obviously, he's not running this car. You just
no,
people took him away. What happened?
Yeah.
What's the whole Golobic?
I'm just a fill-in guy. I'm a one-man shop. I'm no big money guy. I team with the family. Shane had got enough wins and enough good finishes where someone would hire him full-time, so there was no reason for his family or me to really continue on. And he's gotten rides since then. I think I was a stepping stone to help him, and I think I'm that way with Justin. The results Justin gets in my car allows him to get other rides, and if somebody was smart, they'd take him full-time, which might happen. It might happen. It might not happen.
I mean, even somebody like Carson Cito had to have a couple $100,000 to get into a fully funded operation.
Well,
supposedly.
That's enough. What else we need to talk about?
That's it.
Do you need any more down memory lane?
You're done?
I race with Justin Sanders now. We win a lot of races.
So hold on. So this whole, how do you just go Shane Golobic, Justin Sanders? Because.
Well,
just saying, it seems like, I've seen some racing between the two.
Yeah.
Here recently.
Pretty good, ain't it?
The last few years, I did a little research on this because nobody cares about Northern California, but now somebody does.
Good. I think it made Bodo.
It's pretty. Oh, it's good, but Golubic's,
Well,
and then he's talking crap about him in front. What's up with this Golobic?
A feud?
Hey.
Well, you got two.
It seems like everybody versus Sanders at the end of the day. Really, it's what it. It seems like there's a clique out there, and there's one guy who ain't in the clique, and everybody just don't like him. That's what I see. That's what I honestly, it's what I see. I've gone around, heard this shit. Oh, fuck him, he's a rich kid. All this stuff. The Sanders guy's just a rich kid. That's the word on the street.
What's your question? Ask me a question.
How do you go from Golobic to Sanders? Because they're
Well,
pretty much
after-
opposites and somewhat rivals.
Well, Golobic went to run for Keith Day, and they were good. Won a lot of races. I think I sat out 15. I decided the winter heat thing showed up in Arizona.
Right.
I go, hey, this is only 10 hours for me. It's $12,000 to win. I don't have a 410. I said, I had to buy a 410. So that's when I saved a whole year to buy a 410. And I was looking at the national sprint car rankings. I said, Donnie Schatz number 1. Greg Hodnett number 2. I had to give him a call. I give Greg Hodnett a call. Maybe he'd like to run the winter heat. So I told him I'll buy a brand new rider. I'll buy one of your cars, put it in your car, ship it out here. We'll go down to Arizona. You bring your crew chief Ryan Hand down. We'll give it a spin. So that's what we did. Took about a year of planning. And it was disappointing we didn't get a win. We had a 2/3 and a 5th and a 10th, and one race Greg was leading, and he hit a hole and spun out. And, I think we finished 4th in the week series points out of 48 cars. So it was good. It was enjoyable. So I came back. I kind of got in over my head doing that. Sat for 6 months. Was watching the local racing, and I said, I'm going to put a 410 car together for Justin Sanders. This kid's won 50 races in a 3.
So wait, when you were watching these local races,
Yeah.
you saw the Golobic Sanders deal going on.
Oh yeah, it was good.
Your former driver.
Oh yeah.
That you love.
Well.
Or what? I don't know. Did something transpire there, or did you have any ill or things to say about Golobic? And I mean, how did you go from this to that? I mean,
Well, he moved on.
Did he say something bad about you? Did Golobic say? I mean,
well, let's say we had a divorce. It wasn't the friendliest of divorce.
From which side? So you were just he was telling the truth. You're a horrible guy. Or mean, or what did he say? What happened? What's going on?
Trying to remember.
Let's talk about it.
I know me being on your show, they're all gonna watch. The Golobic clan is a tight family unit. I was an outsider that helped them in racing. Shane got to a point where he graduated college, and it was a crossroads, like for everybody. And I don't remember if they wanted my opinion or I gave my opinion on what I thought was the best for Shane as a human being, as a grown-up to move forward in life, what he should be doing at the age of 24, 25 with his engineering degree.
What was your assessment?
I felt he was a good local driver, good qualifier, clean racer, smart kid, 3.5 GPA, San Jose State. We're in Silicon Valley here. This is one of the richest places in the world. And I thought he should use his engineering degree to get a job and keep racing. I didn't think he was a professional driver at that point. I thought he was a good local racer. He had room to grow. And
you told who all this?
I was telling John's father. Shane's father, John.
John Golobic.
Well, this is just my opinion. I was just trying to be honest on what I'd seen and what the numbers had showed, and how many races he'd won and how many races we'd run. And at this point, I'd met Greg Hodnett, and we'd talk about racing and how hard it is to make a living. And
he's on the good side of the country to try to do that, you know.
Greg would tell me things about the sport and how hard it was and a living, and I just thought, but then again, I shouldn't. It's a family matter. I'm just a car owner. I really don't have a say in what someone's children do.
You were just giving an analysis or thoughts
Yeah,
or
but
what
I think
you think.
they felt
they took it personally, I guess.
Well, they felt I crossed the line that was unacceptable in voicing my opinion on what...
Your kid's ability.
Well, it wasn't his ability, it was...
Projection.
I was more concerned about racing. I see it as a hobby. There's very few professionals.
Right.
It's a hobby. You're taking a $70,000 car and you're winning $1,500 to $3,000. It's not a real business. It's a hobby.
It used to be a little different. You know, I talk about that. But
around
now, the situation we have, you're correct, especially over here in California.
Well, you know, I was talking about a young man who was well educated and in a part of the world where when you work for these high-tech companies, within 5-10 years you could start making $250,000. So I just voiced that, and they didn't agree, which is their right, and so it kind of ended on bad terms.
So is that when the split up had already happened, occurred?
Well, it gets more complicated.
It was just murky water at that point?
Yeah, and then things happen later that I don't really want to get into. I just don't think this is
So basically,
they're not
you
here.
gave them an opinion.
Well, they're not here to voice their side of the story, so I don't think it's fair for me to, speak for them.
That could be a good show. We should get y'all on the table.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, I mean, then what do we got left? We got you.
Yeah, but this ain't about racing. This is about family and
oh, the other stuff.
Yeah, this isn't. It's not something that should be in a public forum, but it's sad that it went that way. But I didn't have any mean intent or wasn't trying to be mean. I just trying to be honest, and it was taken that way, I guess. But it's the way it goes. It's the way it goes.
But you had already started talking to Hodnett and all that, or?
Well, Shane drove for me in 14. I started talking to Greg in January 15. I remember telling Shane, I said, why would I go to the winter heat with you when I can get Greg Hodnett?
Oh, well, that probably didn't go over great.
It didn't, but I was being honest.
Right.
I'm looking at the rankings. Donnie Schatz, Greg Hodnett. $12,000 to win. I don't know where Shane Golobic was on the 410 rankings in 2014, but I'm trying to win. I'm trying to win here.
Right, yeah.
It's not a charity.
Right.
I'm not working.
Well, it's like you said, $70,000 car for $3,000 or $1,500.
Well, also with
you
Greg,
know, it's like bowling or something. You're not a pro bowler if you're losing money or paying to do it.
I had been burned in the past on buying engines, and I knew with getting someone like Greg involved and Ryder involved, I was buying insurance that these people would be honest in what I was buying. That's something you don't hear people talking about in racing, especially people starting off in racing getting ripped off. You're buying something and they switch things around or they lie about what it is. I was kind of buying insurance. Plus, I'm always looking for information. I could hang out with Greg, one of the best in the business, learn from him. We happen to become friends. And Ryan and Sherry. It was a fun experience. It was all it could have been, except you didn't get that win, but
right.
but you can't always win. But it was a good thing.
So that's the backstory on how all that with the Golobic deal.
Well, there's a little.
And then we're getting to Sanders. What? Like, there's a little bit more there too.
Well, there's more with. It's just not.
But it was
not something I.
Well, the reason we even talked about it was going from Golobic to basically an art travel.
Well, then in 2016, I'm sitting. In 2015, I sat. 2016, I'm sitting. And then I
Had already got hooked up with Elk Grove Ford?
No. He was driving Keith Day.
Okay.
Shane was well on his way. He was driving for Keith. It was a great team.
Okay.
They won 2 trophy cups. They won a lot of races. Him and Rick and Keith over there. It was a good team, and it was a hard to beat team. It was a pretty formidable team over there.
Right.
He'd moved up. Shane had moved up. I mean, I was just a local guy. We did okay, but Keith Day was more successful than we did, which was fine. But I was always working. At this time, I was working, and I was accumulating money and almost getting my house paid off. And I had this 410 motor, and I built a car. I had a 360 motor. I was impressed by Buddy Kofoid. Buddy had a motor going in to be rebuilt at S&S in San Leandro, the same motor builders that build mine. So I said, well, Buddy's motor's getting rebuilt. Takes 3 weeks. Put him in my car. I ran 4 races with Buddy. Buddy was 14 at the time. He hadn't really blossomed yet. I feel bad. My car never really ran right. The motor was stumbling on the starts. He couldn't get the brakes. Brakes were fading on him. 2 weeks later, I decided to put Justin in my car for the first time.
What made you take that route? With
Justin route?
With Justin Sanders?
Well, I'd sat and watched, 2015, 2016. I go, man, the kid's getting better. Kid's racking up wins. Little family operation. He's winning. I went and met him.
I mean, he works out of a single car garage.
I know that now.
Under a tent.
I didn't know that.
Under a tent.
I didn't know that at the time, but he had a lot of negativity surrounding him. A lot of negativity. I couldn't get anybody to say anything positive about this guy. He's this, he's that, his family's this, he associates with this, he associates with that. I saw the driver. I was going to go find out for myself. I don't know people. I got to find some. I talk to people. I get a feel for people. That's, I think, what I'm pretty good at.
Well, it's hard to listen to what people think about somebody. You gotta listen and do your own due diligence before you judge somebody and actually interact with them yourself.
So I went out to Petaluma. I remember the first thing I ever said to him. I said, "Hi, my name's Joe. Why does everybody hate you?" First thing I said to him. He looks at me and goes, "I don't know." So we started talking, and I think that was 15. At the end of 15, okay, it was 15. So I'm going to jump in a little bit. After Buddy drove my car, Buddy was 16. Jeez, I'm confusing myself this time. I put Justin in my car. There was a 3-way battle for the Civil War Championship at Stockton. It was Sanders, it was Golubic, it was Forsberg. They were within 10 points. Justin had ran the Trophy Cup and destroyed his car. I called him on the way home. I go, wouldn't it be something if you go out there in a 121 and win the championship? He goes, yeah, we'll give that a go. We went out there. It went 2 laps and hot laps. An oil line collapsed, starved the motor of oil, and blew the motor up. Was it. First time I raced with Justin. That was November of 15. Yeah, that was my 360. Then the 410 stuff with Hodnett. And then I said, Justin, I'll make it up to you. So jump into Buddy driving my car in September 16. And then Justin was getting in the car and he said, hey, Buddy says the brakes ain't good. So we took all the brakes out. We stripped all the brakes out of the Hodnett car, put them in, got it all straightened out. And Justin went out to Ocean and won his first King of the West race in my car. And so that was kind of how it started. He has his own rides. I kind of fill in. He's run my car maybe 24, 25 times.
Now, what about him with an outlaw win? This Gold Cup's coming up. I keep hearing it from his camp and from you that
our first attempt at the Gold Cup with the Outlaws 2017. The first night he ran 5th, and he'd never top 5 in an outlaw race. The next night we won the dash. We're on the pole. He led for about 12 laps. He made a mistake in lap traffic. Shane Stewart got him. He ran 2nd. Ran 2nd at the Gold Cup. That's a disappointment. That was a hard one to take, but that's how it goes. We went back out last year. Ran 7th the first night. Second night we started on the pole, outside pole. Buddy was on the pole. We faded to 6th. We weren't good enough. Car wasn't good enough.
Now when they're coming for Gold Cup, obviously they swing through Placerville and mini.
Well, we
Gold
ran
Cup.
Placerville, and that's where the Shane Stewart. That's
Well,
we're
what do you
getting
mean? What do you mean, Shane Stewart?
Oh yeah, we went to Placerville last year. Made the dash.
Wait, your attitude just completely changed. What
Oh,
happened
this is
at
fun.
Placerville?
Well, I'm telling you,
Oh God.
this is just track Justin last year had won more than anybody. One of his home tracks. We qualified, got in the dash, picked a 7. Still the 2 in the bag, got a 7. And on the last lap of the dash, we got wiped out by Shane Stewart. Destroyed the car.
Now he come over and apologize, or
Oh, sure he did. He called Justin a dumbass and blamed Justin for the wreck.
now, why would he blame Justin for the wreck? In your opinion, was it no hope? I mean, he got. Why would he do it? You said it was last lap of a dash.
Running 6th and 7th.
In a dash.
In a dash.
So you're starting.
Have you ever seen outlaws crash in a dash?
No, most of them are just riding and waiting to get the. If they don't,
Okay.
if they can't get a few spots on the start,
Well, this
they
is
just
where
ride.
you're going to interject the video.
Yeah, we're putting the video.
Of
Here's
the crash.
the clip. Yeah,
We're going to put the...
Here's the clip. Yeah.
I have my opinion. But you have your fans out there. And one of your fans, you said, Kevin Swindell. If anybody knows more about cars getting crashed...
Oh, it's Kevin Swindell. He
and
definitely knows it.
People getting blamed.
Larson took Bell's ass out, but keep going.
So show the clip
The clip's rolling. It's all on the screen.
and have Kevin Swindell be the judge. I
don't-
have my opinion. I'm biased. My car was destroyed last lap of a dash. 1 lap before a 40-lap main where we're going to start
Well,
6th.
you're racing for Chevy Performance. You just replace your cars
They did.
like they're nothing.
They did.
Your car, I mean, you got them just laying around here. There's nothing. This palace you live in.
But
How long did it take to replace that car? I mean,
Oh, it's only 2 months of work. It's only 2 months of work of pulling the squeegee. Only 2 months out of my life.
undercover, bro.
22 months. I'm 60 years old. I can get up at 6 in the morning and pull that squeegee and make that money back that Shane Stewart destroyed. It's no big deal.
Are y'all have any payback in plan for this? I'm guessing Justin thought he didn't do nothing wrong either.
You never
right?
saw him.
It
How
was.
many
It is side by side down the straightaway going in the corner. Why anyone's even there on the last lap trying to get 6th? I mean, is 3 a better number than 4? Because that's the difference. Wouldn't you almost rather want to start inside 4th row than outside 3rd and get the advantage on the entry of 1 and 2?
I don't have the answer for these questions.
But so you think that Shane Stewart purposely took y'all out? Is there a hit on you from the Outlaws or something, or what's the deal?
Well, in the Chico Gold Cup...
Because they screw the PA guys over all the time.
The last 2 years of Chico in the Gold Cup, once each year, we were in the dash, and they've penalized us for being late to the push-off area. We weren't late
The
to
World
push-off.
Outlaws.
They penalized us. Said you're late to the push-off area. Once they set us back a row, 2 spots. Last year, Justin started, I think, 8th in the dash. He passed Rico and Macedo, and after the race, they moved him back to 8th. So he didn't even know there was a penalty.
And were y'all late either time?
I wasn't there. The crew said they weren't. Happened to Buddy Kofoid, too. He was late.
So
Late.
basically, no one cares about North California hometown drivers except North California. Because if that was happening in PA, it would be headline news.
Well,
Those situations, did you see the Lance DeWeese
Oh, yeah.
jump the start deal?
jump to start?
Earlier in the year?
Yeah.
They almost tore the internet down the next day. Just over that. You're telling me Kofoid and Sanders and all
It's
y'all.
happened to us twice. It happened to Buddy once. You're late to the push-off lane. We're moving you 2 spots back.
Well,
Dog,
so
I'm
is there
not
outlaw? Is there outlaw versus California people? Is that
Oh,
basically it?
I don't know about anybody. We're trying to win an outlaw race. We get 3 cracks at it coming up in a week and a half, and we're gonna do our best to try to win one. It's the the highest level of sprint car racing, and we're trying to win one. That's all.
It seems like the California fans don't really care. What's up with that?
What fans?
That's a good question.
What fans? I'm not concerned if no fans show up. It's me and Justin are trying to win the outlaw race.
Do you think Northern California guys should start getting some PA posse style attention nationally for what they do? I mean, y'all just put Larson, basically averaged him a top 5 all week.
Well, I don't know what attention
Outlaws
means. What do you mean by attention? What attention of
recognition for how good they are.
Recognition by who?
You don't.
It's a hobby.
Nationally, oh my God! Back to this.
It's a hobby. What,
You're half the problem.
You want us to be on ESPN?
You're half the problem. You need to be. You should be. Why does Justin Sanders have to die to be on ESPN like Brian Clausen? That's what it took Clausen to be on ESPN.
Yeah. Well, you're getting into different.
I'm getting into reality.
Yeah, I can't speak to that. I'm pulling a squeegee trying to win an outlaw race. I don't know the bigger picture. What do you want me to tell you? Does you get more recognition?
I guess that's how it goes.
It's California. It's a real.
There used to be a lot of recognition. People used to travel to come watch races over here. People used to idolize the sprint car drivers from this area too. Ron Schumann's. They wrote books about them, and Tim Gee.
Tim G, Canada. Come on. Yeah. Skylar G won an all-star race. How about that?
Yeah, and then apparently he's the one all-star guy with the dumb crew member too.
It's interesting for me to be a little guy who pulls a squeegee and is basically a nobody, to have moments where I get to kind of pretend I'm somebody and get to spend a week with Greg Hodnett and mingle with the higher ups. It's interesting. To be accepted in that world for a week, and then I come back to my reality, or win an outlaw race with Shane, and then you go back to my reality. It's an interesting life.
I mean, you got to feel kind of crazy to beat, have this little shop you got, little reflective wing, and you go out and you beat Elk Grove Ford and all these other big Roth and Tarleton, and even Neto's got a lot of money behind him, and all these other drivers. And
I would imagine
you're out of a little single opening shop, and your drivers, working out of
I would imagine that people
a single car garage under a tent blanket in the front yard.
Yeah, I keep a low profile. I don't have my name mentioned. I don't have my name on a car. I don't have VonSchriltz Racing shirts. I don't go to the banquets. I don't hang out. I imagine you probably got people tuning in, local people trying to figure out, how does that car do what it does? What's behind that? How is this happening? Why does it continue to happen? Why does Justin Sanders continue to get better? Why does the 121 always in the mix? I don't know. What's the answer? How does it happen?
Besides y'all able to buy or to race.
We go back to earlier in the show. I'll interrupt you. We go back to earlier in the show. What I went through, what I learned, what I observed, the disappointments, the coming back and analyzing the disappointments. Why did this fail? Where did I fall short? Going forward, I see people, they talk racing a lot. They always want to use the phrase hard work.
Right.
Or hard work. Crew busted their butt. Hard work, hard work. Well, everybody that has a sprint car, from the guy
there's a degree
in
of
a crate, we're all working hard. We all got to do the same thing. You got to run the valves, you got to grease the bars, you got to wash the car, you got to unmount the tires. It's all the same. Whether you're running in the C race, in a 305, or your Donnie shots, it's all pretty much the same. I think between me and Justin, there is a lot of thought goes in to what we're doing. I don't think there's much thought going into the car as mine. From every aspect of what a sprint car is. From the chassis, to the bars, to the ride heights, to the tuning of the motors, to the wings, to watching film, to offsets of the wheels, to tire pressures, to what's he doing in the cockpit, to what are the other guys doing. I think to just work mindlessly, it's not making any faster. The fact that we're honest with each other,
And each side can take the honesty, I guess.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Is that different than most drivers that you've experienced?
I think Justin's pretty unique. Young man, I think for his age, running a business, having to fight his way. He's curious about a sprint car. He spends a lot of time with the shocks. He's always looking for information. He's always trying to tune the motors. With the success we've had, we get to talk to more and more people that are higher up the ladder. We have more access to information, whether it's Wings Unlimited, whether it's Triple X, whether it's Willie Kane, whether it's the guy running the dyno room at Ryder. We have access now with our success to get honest answers from people. Justin's in tune with the car and what he feels like, and we continue to strive to get better, and we always put, like I said, there's a lot of thought. And I don't think that someone that's hired as a crew chief that's doing this for a job and is just on somebody's payroll is just punching the time clock. Now, I'm not saying that crew chiefs don't care. A lot of them do. A lot of them are passionate about it. But because it's our own money, it's just me and Justin's money, the detail, but I get back to our relationship and the honesty we have with each other and trust in each other, I think is what makes it what it is. Because everyone can buy the parts, basically. The parts are all the same, but there's the human part of it that I think currently we're in the best state we've ever been in with Justin and his maturing and his confidence and how the car, we've fine-tuned it. We've had these 2 disappointments over 2 years where we started on the front row of the Gold Cup and we faded. And maybe you have to go through that. We could have got lucky when we ran second. The leader could have tangled or blew a radiator hose or the mag went bad. We could have fluked into a win, but we didn't. But we weren't good enough. That year we got passed, and we got passed last year. So we're going to find out, and this is what I enjoy about the sport, if we've gotten better. Are we better? Are we going to fall short again? Are we going to have to come back and go back to the drawing board kind of and look where we're weak? Where are we weak? And I think that's where the two of us are, I guess, on the same page as the saying goes. I don't know if all teams are that way. I'm sure someone like Donnie, the successful guy, is sweet. The people we aspire to get to are that way. But you see a lot of teams in disarray or underperforming too. But the striving to always get better, to never take anything for granted, I think is the key to what we're trying to do.
Do you think people, like, obviously you've heard rich kids when you hear this car, or a lot of money, all this stuff, just rich, slobber knocker people. Do you think people out there know about everything that you said here, where the roots actually come from to where
no.
you have this going towards today? Do you think without that happening that you would even be here? Would that determination, that grit even exist without that forged steel?
We'll never know.
That forged steel is what I call it. Because I got,
it's the life I lived. I don't know if it would have been different. Had I won races when I was younger, would I have been satisfied and then at 35 retired and say I accomplished the goal? We'll never know that. I just know. I just knew the feeling of how painful it was to fail, and story couldn't end that way for me.
Well, thanks for coming on the show.
Well, I think it was my pleasure. You almost made me cry. You had me tearing up.
I know, this is completely different than anything we thought was coming.
I didn't know this was coming.
I hate it, and it's here now.
This guy is a jokester, He uses profanity. He rants and raves. He makes nutty accusations. He tells me Kyle Larson isn't a fantastic driver. And I get on the show, and I'm tearing up.
This is what happens, ladies and gentlemen. The power of Silicon Valley.
That's right. We're in Silicon Valley, looking out this beautiful night.
5G is changing the world. They're developing it. That's what's coming.
Okay. Have I said enough?
We said enough. We'll see you,
Enough.
ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for having me on the show.
I didn't know if that was coming or not.
If we win at Chico, I'll do a cameo
Okay.
after the race.
Okay.
Or if we lose, I'll tell you how disappointed I am.
Either way, I think you'll cry.
No.
No?
No. I don't think, but I didn't think I'd cry now.
You don't really ever cry, ever, do you?
No. Well,
It's probably
How
been
often?
it's probably been a few years.
no. How is that? We're
In
gonna ask.
conversation?
Are we gonna ask the guests how often they cry?
I mean, I've never had this happen before. So this is the first time for everything.
Well, that probably every couple months.
Having a
something
conversation? Like,
with a grown man
Yeah.
in my shop in the middle
Yeah.
of the night. No, that
it
hasn't
was only
happened.
like 7 o'clock. It's the middle of the night now. But anyways, we'll see you next
Okay.
time, ladies and gentlemen, here on Dirt Track.
State of mind.